Hello, adventurers, and welcome to the first February podcast for the Random Adventurers. My name is Nate, and I'm in the studio this week with Lich Lord Bryan.
Hello.
This month, we're going to be talking about world building. How do you set up your campaign world? We're going to be talking this week in particular about the kind of people that you should put into it. In particular, we're going to discuss races. Homogeneous versus non-homogeneous. How to even make the most out of something that would seem more homogeneous.
World building is a tough thing for me. I've never really done too much involved in like world building in terms of building my own setting. In certain times you do want homogeneous, just so you, I don't know. I would never probably make anything too homogeneous, simply because real cultures, real cities don't have this. You don't see cities of hats anywhere where one city is all this one thing. You don't see that too often. I mean, certain real life cities have things they're known for, but they're not all like completely one thing. I mean, even a city like Waukesha, we still have. I mean, there's still some diversity here in terms of culture. So
that is true. I think, although if you go back far enough, you do see that, for example, we went into a Mongolian city, it would be all Mongolians. But it wasn't until...
Well, good luck finding Mongolian city, too, by the way.
Yeah, good luck finding a Mongolian city.
But even Mongolia's not really that much. I mean, Mongolia was... I mean, they were somewhat cosmopolitan. The Mongolians even realized they weren't good at everything. So, like bookkeeping and banking and that kind of thing. So they would take people from their conquered lands that were good at the stuff they weren't and spread them across the empire. So even Mongolia, who you think would be a pretty homogenous culture, really wasn't.
Yeah. But they were fairly homogenous.
I mean, really the biggest area, I would say the biggest historically areas where you would see homogenous culture would probably be Western Europe.
That is true, because people,
so, I mean,
until the great ages of trade...
Well, even then, I mean, there was still, I mean...
You would have people, they were passing through.
Yeah,
you would see merchants
Western Europe is probably a little bit more of that not in my backyard type of culture than some of the other ones. But even still, I mean, as cultures advance, and a lot of fantasy cultures, they have this thing where like they've existed for like 5,000 years. So I mean, you're not going to see anything which is like this is a 99.9% human or halfling culture, but especially in cities.
Yeah,
so,
particularly, in a city.
I would definitely say you have like something that might be a main or a predominant culture there, but there's definitely going to be other people there, especially in any large city.
Yeah. So it largely, how you fill your world will depend on what kind of people you're looking for, and how full you want your world to feel.
Also, I mean, it depends on how stereotypical you're going to make the different quote-unquote races. Are your dwarves going to be that 99.9% mining or under mountain people, and your elves going to be all about living in the forest, or are you going to have variations within the races themselves?
Yeah.
So, I mean, depends on how stereotypical your races are.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, though, it's pretty easy. We've been talking a lot about D&D and Pathfinder with, where they have races like half-orcs, half-elves, gnomes, goblins, and such, that might very well come into town to do trade or live there and set up a shop. But what happens when you go to and you want to do another setting? For example, something like Anima, where all you have are humans, and humans who are the reincarnations of something else, which you only then have the quote-unquote human culture. How do you give people the sense of not sameness? You know, something that's not bland and pre-chewed.
As well as I say, it's because this is one of the problems. I've never done some of this, so I'm kind of thinking of what ideas, if I were going to start world building, if everything's supposedly human, my biggest thing I would do is look at some real life cities, real life things, and get inspiration from that. I don't know Anima too much, so are like the reincarnation things, do they each have, is there some type of rhyme to how where they're reincarnated in human society?
Not really.
Not so, pretty much random. In that type of situation, it would be like how any semi-homogeneous culture develops, where people who maybe have reincarnation from certain animas would have certain tendencies that they might, certain things they might favor, and it would be just looking at like how real people decide what they do and how they behave. So,
one thing that I would recommend in this case is just create diversity not by a race, as in like elf, dwarf, sylvan, giant.
Yeah.
Divide it by he is from, you know, the southern deserts, or he's from a more forested area, where this person's from the plains. In this case, you're going to have much different cultures.
Yeah, people are a lot going to be based in terms of those kind of things. They're going to be based on the culture from where they would be growing up, with obvious variations in there within those groups as well. But the biggest thing for like populating, though, in terms of like fantasy ones, is especially if you're going to eliminate some races, actually think about why you're going to eliminate those races, what types of things they bring to the table that you don't necessarily want, or what type of things that they bring to the table that you think your characters would want and lament that they don't have.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
for example, in a D&D 4E game, would there be any races that you would cut that are in the like core player's handbook, let's say?
There's certain core races in D&D. I'd probably, if I really wanted to say limit them, I'd ask, well, why do you want to be that race? Particular one would be like Tiefling, simply because of how Tieflings, with their demonic heritage, would probably be viewed. In a lot of it, ask why you want to be a Tiefling, see if they want to be, if they're doing it just for like stats. So if they're doing it just for stats and abilities, I might see if there's something that might fit what kind of background you're going with a little bit better. And this goes back to character building, and see, because a tiefling, and especially like a tiefling or a drow, would probably be something that doesn't fit in with a lot of other groups.
Very true. So, it would be something that would be hard to, at least very difficult to explain what it was going there. I know in one D&D 4E game I did, I actually ran it, and I actually created, I borrowed a culture for the tieflings. Because I said the tiefling population is about equal to the elf population.
Okay.
So they're numerous. They're in every city. There's hundreds of millions of them.
And definitely, if you make a race more common, then it would necessarily be in it. Yeah. It lessens some of those stigmas that race has.
What I did is, did you ever watch the TV show Babylon 5?
No, I watched Deep Space Nine.
Okay. Long ago, back in the 90s, there was a TV show called Babylon 5. And in it, and I do recommend looking up this TV show, see if you can find it and watch it.
I watched Star Trek Deep Space Nine, who apparently the creators said ripped it off. So,
Um,
Creators of Babylon 5 accused Paramount of ripping them off.
there was a race called the Centauri, and the Centauri were proud of their republic. And Centauri would be heard say, whenever they were complaining about something. In the glory days of the Centauri Republic, you could buy alcohol on a Sunday after 9 p.m. Or whatever was cheesing them off because the glory days were better. So, I set it up so that the Tieflings, even though they lost their empire, the Empire of Baltaroth, it's gone, they're still proud of it. And the most common Tiefling saying was, in the glory days of Baltaroth, whatever. You could, if you wanted to change a candle, there was a joke, actually, from the show, was how many Centauri does it take to change a light bulb?
They have light bulbs in this future?
Yeah, they still have light bulbs. And the answer was, just one. But, in the glory days of the Empire, all you'd have to do is snap your fingers, and 1,000 slaves would rush to change 1,000 light bulbs. Mocking the Centauri for their pride in their old empire that was gone.
Yeah.
So the joke was that's why I modified the joke so it fit the Tieflings.
And that actually really helps when you're building a world, is to give the races some flavor beyond what's, in the printed material, so every race doesn't just feel like it's brought from the book.
Yeah. Because the core book, for almost any setting, unfortunately, any setting with multiple races, only has so much space that they can devote to each race, and they rarely spend it on things like, racial attitudes. They have maybe in the room for like 4 paragraphs, so they can't really flesh it out.
That's one of the things I liked about Privateer's books.
Yeah.
Is they have those. A lot of the books, you have the space for the rules, but there's also at least 50% of it is devoted toward that kind of background stuff.
Which,
the old 3rd edition World Guide was pretty much had no rules in it.
Yeah, it was no rules, or almost no rules. And
I don't think there was a single rule in that book.
I don't think so either. It was all setting information.
Yeah, and it would go through each individual city. It doesn't necessarily go into the exact depth, but maybe
it went into enough depth that you could...
Heck, it all but we gave you maps of every city.
Yeah. Another thing to think of with population is what are... so if you're populating a world or a city, because sometimes world building is as simple as just building a single city. What is the center of people's lives? What is their entertainment?
Definitely a good idea.
Definitely a good idea, because festivals, the amphitheater in Greece was considered to be very important. If you're in an Asian and Japanese setting, the bathhouse was considered the most important part of the town or city. Because not only was that where people got clean, it was where everyone was equal. The noble and the commoner came together, and no one was more important than anybody else naked.
I'm sure one guy was.
Yeah, he was the guy who got there first and got the water fresh.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely think about more than just, who's there. Definitely, I would definitely say think about what they do as well.
Yeah. With that, we'll end this short video on world building. Short compared to our others.
Yeah.
And move on to our next thing, which is we'd like to thank everyone who showed up last Saturday for our live Dungeons & Dragons 5e Let's Play.
I promise I'll post back. I tried. I promise to actually post stuff in response to people.
Yes. I do my best to try and keep up on the stuff as it's coming in, but I have to keep hitting the refresh on my tablet, so I don't always see it right away. I'm trying to find out if there's a better way to view that.
Any live updating? Any way to live update?
I'm going to look for a way to get at live updates on my tablet, so that I can have that here and see stuff as it's coming in live, which I think will be of a great help. So we are still learning how to do our live events, but honestly, viewers, it seems you love them, so we will continue doing those.
Well, he's learning.
I'm learning. In case it isn't clear,
I'm the talent. I don't have to know anything.
Yeah, he's the talent. I'm, the manager, so I have to learn everything. So, this week, our question is, what is your favorite race to play?
I never have gone too in depth about changing characterization. A lot of times when I choose a race for it, I look to see either what mechanically works well or if there's anything that would be interesting. However, just because I sometimes like to be the duplicitous bastard, Changeling?
Changeling is good for that.
So, yeah, it's the, I died in a mysterious accident. I was the evil character and died in a mysterious accident, but you never covered in my body. Hi, new party member.
Hi, I'm your new party member. Yeah.
I know I have the exact same abilities of the old one. And I think I'm wearing his clothes, too.
Trust me, it's a Lando and Han thing.
So, yeah, probably Changeling, although, when 4E first came out, and, especially when, the Forgotten Realms book came out, or is it Eberron? I can't remember which. One of the races I really liked, which I probably wish would have played more, was the Genasi, the elemental-based one.
Yeah, that was the...
So, I know I remember I had a Genasi sword mage. So,
yeah. The Genasi were cool.
So, and I think they're releasing rules for them in the Eberron book, or there's Genasi race coming out soon, I think.
Oh, we'll look forward to seeing that.
Oh yeah, the elemental campaign setting is apparently going to have Genasi as a playable race.
Okay.
So,
as for myself, Dragonborn are kind of a favorite. As much as I often will play a, if I'm in a more down mood, or I've been watching a lot of darker stuff on TV, I'll play like a tiefling.
yeah.
But, when it comes to D&D 3.5, the Dragonborn, when they appeared in 3.5 as the Dragonborn of Bahamut, and when they reappeared as the just Dragonborn in Core 4E, I loved them. I honestly fell in love with that race.
I thought they were a cool race when they appeared in 4E. I never really got into them in 3E. One of the races I really wish I would have got into in 3E, and I'm kind of hoping, I kind of would like to see them release something like this in 5E, was the Illumians.
Oh, the Living Word guys.
Yeah. The guys who get bonuses for multi-classing. I thought that was kind of a cool race.
Yeah.
So, I never really played one, but they looked interesting.
Yeah.
That and the Warforged Druid always sounded fun.
Yep.
Also known as the Transformer. Well, Beast Transformer.
And that, we'd like to thank you all for coming and watching us. And if you like our videos, please hit the subscribe button so that you can get them sooner and be notified about our live events when they happen. Actually, before they happen.
Yes, before is always better.
Yes, before is always better.
At the time is good, before is better, after is terrible.
Yeah. Like should be right about there. Please hit it.
Like, subscribe, share.
Yes, as he said. And just remember, don't kill us. We're the PCs.